Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, and we're going to do another chat video. We're just chatting up a storm these days, folks. We can't shut up. So tonight we're doing Marilyn Monroe. My friend Harry Benson, also known as Maca Photos, introduced a chat about what do we think of Marilyn Monroe as an actress, as an icon. Do we like her films? Do we think she's untalented? All that sort of thing. So here is what I think about Marilyn Monroe. I think that she was a much better actress than most people, or at least a lot of people, are willing to give her credit for. I think that she had a quality about her that it's kind of magical. It's something that somebody either has or they don't. And with her, it was a magical quality that came out when the lights of the camera were upon her. A lot of people who have worked with her said that before Marilyn Monroe got in front of the camera, she was someone else. She was a mass of insecurities, and she didn't have that sexy, teasing quality that came out in her films. When the lights of the camera hit her face, she transformed into a different person. They said it was just unbelievable. And several people have said that, so there must be some truth to it. And I think that what she had, beyond the beauty that came through, certainly the sexual quality of the way she was built and the way they dressed her up, or almost dressed her up, I think that she had a quality of vulnerability that came through in almost all of her performances, and also a quality of being a little bit lost that made people care about her and sort of want to embrace her and take care of her. Now, I think that came through in almost everything that she did. And in comparison to the other blonde bombshells of the 1950s, Marilyn was considered to be the top of the line. Jane Mansfield was considered to be sort of a dime store imitation of Marilyn Monroe. And then coming into a distant third was Mamie Van Doren, who was sort of way down the bargain basement. Well, I love Mamie Van Doren. I think that's another video. I think she had a certain quality of her own, and I really like her. She was a good actress and a good singer. But Jane Mansfield, even though she later on would prove that she did have the ability to do good acting, I think that I don't think she ever, in her biggest films of the 1950s, like The Wayward Bus, things like that, I don't think she gave the impression of being somebody that the audience wanted to take care of. I think that they just wanted to jump on her. But with Marilyn Monroe, I think that she really did draw people in to her inside, her heart. I think that she brought a lot of heart into what she did. And I am babbling like a fool. So let me show you what I have here that Marilyn Monroe, her films, what I managed to collect. Starting off with this film that came out in 1948, Ladies of the Chorus. This was a very low-budget film made at Columbia. I think it was only about maybe 70 minutes long, and it was a programmer. It wasn't meant to be a star vehicle, and she was not the top-billed star. This marquee you see here on the cover, this was done later on when she had become a major star in the 1950s. They repackaged this film and re-released it as if she was the major star. It was about a mother and a daughter who were both burlesque performers. The mother was played by Adele Jurgens. Hope you can see this. And Marilyn played her young daughter. And it was just a very minor story about their dramas in life and their problems with love and all that sort of thing. It was really a cute film. She was very good. It was only the third film that she had been in. The first film she did was in 1948. She was cut out completely. Second film in 1948 was something called The Dangerous Years, which I don't have, and I've never seen it all the way through, but there's some of it you can find on YouTube, and she was in it for maybe 7 or 8 minutes. And then she did this film, and it did not lead to her becoming a star, even though she was pretty good in this. You get to see her sing and dance. And then she did a couple of more minor films up until the year 1950, when all of a sudden she was getting more and more attention in films like The Asphalt Jungle, directed by John Huston at MGM. And she was only in this for just a couple of scenes, but she was very, very good. And then later on that year, she also did All About Eve, which she managed to hold her own with Bette Davis and George Sanders. and she did a good job. So that's when she started to get more attention, but she still did a couple of years of sort of an apprenticeship. Being under contract to 20th Century Fox, she did mostly supporting roles, ensemble films, and let's see, like this is a good example here, like this, 1951 or 52, Let's Make It Legal. She did a supporting role in that, and finally she was given a chance to, in 1952, they gave her a chance to star in a film for the first time. It's called Don't Bother to Knock. Now, she is paired with some very good actors in this. Richard Widmark and also Anne Bancroft was in it. And I think it may have been Anne Bancroft's first film. And it wasn't a terribly successful film, but it gave her a chance to really try to be a good actress. And I think that she sort of came out being okay, but definitely well worth watching. So some of the other films she started to make. 1952, she had a chance to do this very good film noir directed by Fritz Lang, Clash by Night. Another supporting role, Barbara Stanwyck, Paul Douglas, Robert Ryan, and she again did a good job among all these very talented people. So here's what else. Here the other films that I have. I have Niagara, which is my #1 favorite Marilyn Monroe film, even though I don't think that it's her greatest performance. I think that her greatest performance came in Bus Stop in 1956. And this is absolutely essential for anybody who wants to know about Marilyn Monroe. I also have There's No Business Like Show Business, singing and dancing, doing a very sexualized version of Having a Heat Wave, with co-starring with Ethel Merman, Donald O'Connor, Dan Daly, Mitzi Gaynor. Gentlemen Prefer Blondes with Jane Russell. River of No Return with Robert Mitchum. Now, Robert Mitchum was probably the only actor she ever played with who was her perfect physical companion. He was kind of like the laconic male version of Marilyn Monroe, being a symbol of masculine strength and all that sort of thing. And yeah, they were a good team. Here's How to Marry a Millionaire, great movie. Some Like It Hot, which is a movie that I appreciate more and more over the years, and I think that she gave a very good comedic performance in that film. The Prince and the Showgirl with Laurence Olivier. The Misfits, her last film, directed by John Huston again, with Clark Gable, Montgomery Clift. And finally, what I consider to be a great comedic performance is The 7-Year Itch. Really a very good movie, very funny film. So that's everything I have about Marilyn Monroe. Now, as far as whether or not she was a manufactured star rather than somebody who just had an innate talent, let me read you something from this really terrific book, The Films of Marilyn Monroe. And I'm not sure who the writer of this particular remark is. It had two editors, Michael Conway and Mark Ricci. So I'm not sure exactly who wrote this, but this is what somebody wrote about Marilyn after she made a major hit in Niagara in 1953. Marilyn's 18th film marked the beginning of a new career for her. She was now a full-fledged star. People poured into the theaters to see her. It can truly be said that the public made Marilyn a star. Some stars are manufactured, with the studios nurturing them along in just the right vehicles for them from the start. Marilyn's unique personality and special beauty drew public notice and caused the people themselves to lift her to stardom as a result of their clamor at the box office. So you can take that for what it is. It's one man's opinion. I think there's a lot of truth in that. Well, let me tell you another quote from probably the first manufactured movie star in all of cinematic history. Back in the 1910s, Theda Bara was created as somebody totally on the screen, totally different than who she was as a real person. And some of these shots of her, this book, that's one of the shots of Theda Bara, which in today's opinion may not be considered to be very attractive or very sexy, just a little bit scary. But here she is in Cleopatra. Anyway, Theda Bara lived until 1955. And a couple of years before she died, somebody asked her about her career and about sex symbols and all that. And they asked her what she thought about Marilyn Monroe. So here's what she said about her. She said, okay, I think like everyone else that she is sexy, but I don't believe she likes it much, does she? She probably will have the same trouble I have had. She will never be able to live down her reputation. So that's one legendary sex symbol talking about another. And I think that's kind of interesting. And I've taken 10 minutes of your life, and that's more than enough. So let me know what you think about Marilyn Monroe and anything that I may have said. All comments are welcome.